Hello, everyone. We are back. Another episode in the Design Lounge. And this is about expansion. I'm excited about this episode because not only the topic I'm talking about, but the guest I have, Michael London. We actually had the opportunity of talking in Toronto a few years back at IDS, and he came up with this idea. He shared this concept of beautifying the world. And
Yeah.
I think at the time, that was one of the first times you actually had spoken in public. And since then, it's been like everywhere, doing everything, being everywhere. But I was like, oh, I feel like I was a part of something. But for those that don't know who you are, please share who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Michael London. Hello, everyone. My name is Michael London. Michael London Design in Toronto, Canada. That's where my firm is. We're a small boutique interior design firm of about 14 people, and we design luxury homes from anywhere between 4,000 all the way up to 20,000 square feet. And we also do design condos as well. So all the amenity spaces, the lobbies, everything, both residential and commercial from the ground up. So that's what we do in Toronto. We have projects in Toronto, King City, Kleinburg, Ottawa, and then two homes also in New York, Long Island.
I saw that. I saw the New York projects. And again, we're
Mhm.
talking about expansion. And I believe I just read or just saw, actually, who read, who reads nowadays? I just saw on social media, you have a new project in Fort Lauderdale coming up, or have you already started on that
Yes.
project?
Yes, we have started on this project. Very excited about this one. So I'm so used to saying we have projects in New York, and I mean Florida was just a couple weeks ago. So
Okay.
now I got to put that into my vocabulary. Yes, we do have a Florida project. It is a high-rise project, our first high-rise in Florida, in the
Okay.
United States. I'm very excited about this one. It's just an opportunity for, as my mom said in our initial, when we met years ago, that my mom said I would beautify the world. And this is an opportunity to beautify the world and just expand around the world. So very excited about this.
Yeah, no, it's almost perfect timing. It's like, okay, we're gonna talk about expansion, and then you're literally expanding. And although I
Yes.
know, I would imagine for you being a Toronto designer, New York almost feels like, it's so close, you know what I mean? It doesn't seem like, okay, obviously New York's such a big marketplace within the States, but it's so close to Toronto. It's like, okay, that's still my backyard, if so to speak. But expanding into Miami or excuse me, Florida, that's a big deal. How did that come about? Because I also know you just crossed over 6 years. You've been in the game for a while, but you just crossed over 6 years with Michael London Design.
Yeah.
So how did that come about? And what are some of the obstacles maybe you've seen being a Canadian designer and really trying to establish yourselves here in the States?
Well, the project is actually with a Canadian developer.
Perfect. Okay.
I've done several projects with him here in Toronto, and now he's moving on and expanding to the US. So
Yeah.
we have a really good relationship. So why not bring, your designer as well,
Absolutely.
to help sort of expand? That's just at times that's how it happens. I mean, the New York, the projects that we got in Long Island were the first one initially was from Instagram, social
Okay.
media,
Okay.
and grew from there to the second one. And this development is from a Canadian developer expanding himself to the U.S. So he's just sort of bringing us along because of the relationship that we have. So it's still a good it's a great opportunity. I think that when I look at I'm viewing it exactly the way I do a project here.
Okay.
So we're doing our drawings. We have uh, um, drawings, design concepts, all the presentation that's happening here. And with platforms like this, I can present to anyone, anywhere around the world. So
Totally.
hasn't it hasn't there isn't a hiccup there. And when the time comes in the next couple of weeks, I will be going down to Fort Lauderdale to
Probably be a little bit warmer.
yes, definitely warmer. I mean, it's getting warmer here. It's
Okay.
not too bad. We're 16, or no, sorry, not 16, 6 to 10 degrees right
Okay.
now. So it's
Celsius. For those that are in the States, he's talking about Celsius. That's probably what, about 50,
Celsius.
60
Yes.
ish, I would imagine.
Currently, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. But it's on the warm up though. It's on the warm up.
Yeah, no, I love that. I know when I visited Toronto, it was like, oh man, this is a major city, a great city. The caveat I had is I visited in January, right? We talked about I was there for IDS, and I'm like, oh,
Yes.
I need to come experience the city when it's like maybe May, maybe June,
Hmm.
maybe some of that warm, especially being from Arizona. I'm like, let me visit that. Talk about partnerships and collaborations because I'm imagining you talked about this gentleman, you worked with them in Canada, now you're expanding into the States. How do you go about finding those partnerships that really fit? Because I would imagine everyone wants to collab, right? They want to collab with partners, they want to expand, but you don't want to do what you want to have a project that's going to be ongoing or a relation that's going to be ongoing, not just a one and done. And obviously you've been able to establish that. So how do you, build those relationships and then nurture them and then expand upon them as you guys grow and do more projects?
See, I think it's over time it's been organic. It's an
Okay.
organic relationship. Sometimes these relationships they take time,
Yeah.
and you need to nurture it, and you just do what you do. So that's what I've done over time. So it's just become natural
Totally.
in this whole process. I'm looking at other collaborations now, and with some of the companies that I work with, whether it's with plumbing, I look at the history and who I've worked with over the years, and looking to do collaborations with them. Again, it's a little more organic. Or I've done condos where we average $1 million a year in
Okay.
product.
Gotcha.
So companies like that, where it's like, hey, it's just natural. Let's work on something together because the business is there. We do a number of condos, a number of rentals, and averaging that amount a year, it just comes naturally. And we're looking at that across the board.
Gotcha. Okay.
Even this fedora I have here.
I have a question about that, but keep going. I'm
Yeah.
interested to hear what you're going to say.
So, even this, like, I made this. It's like
Okay. That
during.
I didn't know. I didn't. I know you. I know it's like a signature, but I didn't know that you actually made make them. I would imagine, okay, you being who you are, you could, but I never even considered that.
Yeah, so it's looking at all those sort of collaborations. This comes natural to me. So anyone out there looking to do a collaboration on custom fedoras by Michael London, great.
Yeah.
But it's just relationships that are organic, and that's what we're working on now. And this natural, plumbing fixtures to carpets to furniture, anything that we specify in our projects. All the manufacturers are looking to especially in this time now, to do some sort of a collaboration.
Totally, totally. And it's interesting you talk about the fedora, because I know, like for me, when I see you, that to me is one of your signatures, the
Yeah.
hats you wear, right? I'm sure I'm not the first person that said that. Your signatures, and that seems like a natural expansion with your brand because that literally is a part of you. I want to talk about that as well, but as far as a designer, you've mentioned like when someone sees your project, you want them to know like Michael London's touched this, like this is a Michael London design.
Yes.
What is that signature, and also how does that work with them developing and expanding, right? Because now I think you mentioned you want to beautify the world, not just in Toronto but worldwide. You're given the opportunity expanding into the states and expanding to other projects. What is it about identifying and making an imprint with your design signature so that when people see it, it is a Michael London, but that allows room for okay, he can be everywhere, and yet this is still a Michael London project.
Yeah, I think what's different with us is that we don't have a set style.
Okay.
So I don't have, not everything is gray, not everything's blue, green, pink. It's
Yeah.
not, we don't have a certain color. But what the signature for us is the meticulous detail, the uniqueness that we do on every single project.
Yeah.
So there's always something that I try to be inventive on every project where someone
Okay.
says, wow, I
Yeah.
never thought of that.
Okay.
Uh, and we try to do that in every single space. So I always talk about a 5 by 9 bathroom. There's one thing to put, tile on the wall, tile on the floor, but it's the unique details that you add to that, whether it's with niches, with drains, benches, the glass. Maybe it's not a clear glass. Maybe it's a smoke glass. Maybe it's a ripple glass with a frame around. Certain details that we work within a wide open budget or a small budget. We are going to make sure that we get those details within that project. So looking at a Michael London design project, there's people that have always told me that they look at a space and they say, wow. They may not know who designed it, But when
Okay.
they say Michael London, it's like, okay, well, that makes
That
sense.
makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
It makes sense because there's so many details in there that are very inventive, very meticulous, and I can totally see Michael doing that. So we're not
Gotcha.
afraid of color. We're not afraid of, I'll take on any color and just make it luxurious,
Yeah,
make
I
it seamless.
make it Michael London.
Hmm.
Yeah. No, I noticed you talked about bathrooms. You just recently visited, I believe it was, is it Gessie? How do you say it? The New York
Jesse.
showroom?
Jesse.
Okay. Yeah, is that a collaboration, or was that just you were just visiting and checking stuff out? Because it seems like their product aligns with some of the designs you do.
They are aligned in some of the project we do, but it's
Okay.
not a collaboration yet.
Okay. Yes.
So,
Okay.
yeah, yet.
Okay.
Well, see, again, going back to organic relationships, I haven't used them enough
Okay.
I want to use them more because it does suit the Michael London brand.
Oh, when
Definitely.
I saw it, I was I mean, you said it yourself. When I saw it, I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Right,
That
right.
makes sense. I could see that in a Michael London design.
Yes. So I always used a particular company in the past because
Gotcha.
it was just easy.
Hmm.
And now starting Michael London Design 6 years now, it's sort of okay, we're growing this brand. It's
Hmm.
luxury.
Totally.
It's about meticulous detail. So when I walked into Jesse and saw all of the unique fixtures that were there, I thought, oh my gosh, what have I been missing out on? You know,
Totally.
so we're always, so now more than ever, I'm trying to surround myself with brands like that think and have the same mindset.
Totally. Yeah, and it sounds like, for you, it's a level of, and I think you mentioned it, like travel but it's discovery, right? Now that you've kind of been, you're established, right? Yeah, you were in the industry for 20 plus years prior, but now Michael London is established, is known. And
Right.
now it's like, okay, what are these other heritage brands or brands I can discover that are
Exactly.
on par with the Michael London ethos, the Michael London, process, the Michael London design, aesthetic, and how can I organically collaborate with these entities? Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Exactly, exactly that, exactly that. So in any project, one starting it's luxury,
Mhm.
and it aligns with Michael London Design, with me personally, and then we just grow from there. It only adds to the overall design, the overall look, which I appreciate. It's just bringing that wow factor.
No, totally. And I think what people that are going to watch this is like, okay, they might be new, they, might have not reached this level of success or this level of opportunity or the type of project you do. But I
Hmm.
think what you're saying is you have to identify your signature, your brand, what
Right,
what your brand stands for.
right,
And then the work will prove itself. And then as
exactly.
the work it proves itself, you get these opportunities. You're like, oh, they want to align because a lot of times people I think they look at collaborations or partnerships and they're like, oh, I want to work with them, not thinking what do they bring to the table themselves.
Hmm. Hmm.
Whereas you bring it to the table. If anything, they're like, okay, I want to align with Michael London now. And I think
Right,
it's identifying what your brand stands for,
right.
creating the work, building the resume, building the portfolio, if you will, and then having it so it's a win-win for everybody. You know what I mean? Where it's not just for a one way conversation.
Right. It didn't start initially. It didn't start that way.
Totally. Yeah.
No,
No.
it didn't start that way at all. It's just as we grew with the work, the detail of work, the level of work, and getting certain exposure. Definitely, there's a number of people that I met for the first time. IDS when we met 2 years ago.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
remember just walking to the interview, and there was another guy by the name of Sean that I never met before,
Mm,
and he walked up to me and said, "Oh my gosh, Michael, I have a project for you." And I thought,
wow.
really? And it,
So
and
what you're saying is, I might need to get like a commission or at least to have something if that's the case.
but it was great to hear that and see that happen because my parents were there,
Yeah, I
right?
remember that. I
So they
remember
were
reading
off
it.
to the
Yeah.
side,
Yeah.
and they, my mom, my dad, so proud of me, and they were off to the side, and to see that interaction happen, where it's like, I remember walking up to my dad after and saying, I don't even know who that guy is. But
Yeah.
he just came up to me and said, I have a project for you. I've been
Yeah.
wanting to meet you. I was going to reach out to you, Michael London, you
Yeah.
know? And it was instances like that we started seeing that, hey, we are growing. We are growing.
Totally. Yeah.
Even now dealing with another furniture company, we're talking about producing furniture, and she said, but you're Michael London. I'm like, okay, I'm just
Yeah.
I'm just a guy who likes design. I just like furniture. I just love what I do. But she said, but yeah, but you're Michael London.
Yeah.
And I'm just, okay.
Right.
You know,
Well,
it doesn't mean anything to me. I'm not, it's just, I just love what I do.
but it's like you said, it's like when if you build it, it's like Field of Dreams. Like if you build it, they will come. But it's like if you do the work, people will find you. But it's
Mhm.
such a that was such a great moment having you there. Your family, I think your staff was there too.
Yes.
And it wasn't a situation where the staff was like, I think this was a Friday or Saturday. But it wasn't like, oh, I have to be there. You can
Yeah.
tell like they wanted to be there. I do want to talk about expansion. I do want to talk about what you just mentioned. People coming up to you and being like, oh, but you're Michael London.
Yeah.
And I don't want to remiss and not skip over the fact how impactful it is. Not only the fact that you're Michael London, but the fact that you're Michael London, a luxury interior designer who is also an African American interior designer.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
know you've touched on that recently. Talk
Yeah.
about that impact you're making, because maybe it wasn't something that you inherently decided wanting to do. I don't
Mhm.
know, even, and I guess the question is that something that you are embracing? And did you embrace it from the beginning? Was that your intention? Or is now that you're seeing the impact, it's like it's become even more important?
Right. Starting in this interior design journey,
Yeah.
the years that I had, there was so much that went on. There is so much, I didn't know. I didn't know. I knew there was, a lot of racial things and things like that happening. I didn't think that would happen to me, but it
Hmm.
did over the years.
Yeah.
And when I left the previous office, I said, where are my people?
Totally.
Where are my people?
Yeah.
And not realizing that, I one had a talent, a God-given talent, um, and at that location was nurtured over 25 years,
Hmm.
and and really laid out the blueprint for what I'm doing now,
Totally.
where we just pump out hit after hit in terms of the looks and things like that. But besides from all of that, thought, hey, if I want to be part of a community, where's my community? To realize that there weren't a lot like me doing what I'm doing,
Yeah.
or to the level of what I of what
Exactly. Or have, yeah, to the
does.
level, had the access of the type of products that you have access to.
Right, right. So that's when I really started noticing that something's different here. And um, it was, I think, last year's IDS where another designer, friend of mine, she had said, we were talking, and a lot of us met over Instagram, social media,
Okay.
but we actually met for the
For the
first
first
time
time in
in
person.
person. And she said, Michael, tell me your story. And she's with a group of friends, and I was telling my story, and one of them actually broke down and she was crying, and I almost teared up too.
Okay.
And she said to me, Mike, I don't think you realize that if there isn't a Michael London, then who is it?
Yeah.
And that's when I kind of took a step back and I thought, wow, I didn't realize that other people saw me that way.
Hmm.
Did I expect all of this? Absolutely not. I just want to design. I
Hmm.
just design. I just want to create great, beautiful spaces, but didn't realize how much of an impact I was making on my own community.
Totally.
So now I see it as any opportunity I have to do something like this and to share. That's what I'm going to do, um, because a lot of us don't have that opportunity.
Totally.
The work speaks for itself. Um, yeah, ultimately the work speaks for itself. A lot of us don't have that opportunity. It will change.
Hmm.
And I'm talking about on the Canadian side.
Okay.
On the U.S. side, it's funny because there's a couple. I went to the Black Interior Design Network event in Manhattan last year. There was a conference, and I thought, I'm going to go there, and I want to meet a lot of people, and there's so many that I admire there, and I'm ready to meet them. And one of them is Corey Damon Jenkins,
Okay.
and like I can't wait to meet him. And I saw him for the first time at one of the events, and I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, Corey, Michael London, big fan, honored
Yeah.
to meet you." He said, "Michael, I know who you are. Just keep doing what you're doing."
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, wow. So I'm in
Right.
this little designer from Toronto, Canada,
Yeah.
is making an impact over in the US with
Hmm.
other people. And I have the support of that design network and the people within the network to sort of push on, you know,
Yeah.
to push forward. Um, but in Toronto, there's other networks as well. And I was just at another panel just last week at another community center where there's a number of design and architects there as well, students sort of learning interior design and learning architecture. And it was great to see that. But for
Yeah.
them to look at me and say, wow, that's Michael London. That's Michael
Right.
London.
No, that is so impactful and it's interesting because again, you love what you do, right? And you got maybe thrust into this position.
Hmm.
I don't know if I mentioned to you when we met, but I grew up in the Pacific Northwest,
Yeah.
in Portland, Oregon. And
Yeah.
so I was always at the school, one of a
Mhm.
couple. I was the only, and as I progressed professionally, I was the only. And I'm in these spaces where I'm the only. At the time, I was, only one that was my age, only
Right.
one that looked like me,
Right.
only one that dressed like me, only one that spoke like me. And I know for me, it was always a thing where it was like, okay, one of the reasons I broke into fashion and style, besides the fact that I loved it, was identity and the ability to create the perception and
Yeah.
to not be put in a box,
Right.
right? To not be like, okay. And I always thought to myself, I want to be an entrepreneur, professional, whatever realm I'm in.
Right.
I want to be known as a great that who happens to be African American.
Hmm.
Because I felt like sometimes in the past where they said, oh, yeah, he's a black designer or he's a black stylist or he's a black this, just by them leading with that, it's like it's almost, and it could have been internal that I took it that way, but almost like it was almost like you start at a step down or a step below. And I
Yeah.
always wanted to, overcome that. But then you realize, and maybe you're realizing, and I guess I guess I want to ask if you felt that same thing. But it's like then you realize, no, there's a lot of importance in realizing that you are, in fact, in both can be true that you are a black designer and you
Right.
are a great designer who happens to be African American, regardless of how they want to lead into it.
Right.
That is so impactful and it's so meaningful because there are people below, younger people that are looking at you and be like, oh, that's Michael London.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
now can do that too. I now can have those projects too. I now can work with those designers too. You know what I mean? So it's like I guess my question is like, is that something you've ever thought about, encountered? Because I know for me it was a reversal where I was like, you know what, I don't want them to put me in a box. I don't want to just be this, African Americanist. I want to be this, but I want to be known. I
Right.
want to them, yes, this is me. This
Yeah.
is me. But that's not only me. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Well, to be honest, it started off as okay, it's Michael London, and then when all these articles came out, I think there was the George Floyd incident that happened in the U.S. and everything sort of happened. It affected our side of the border as well,
Totally.
and from that they put a spotlight on all minorities, right?
Yep.
And from there it was, hey, there is this interior designer that's creating luxury spaces and he's black. And at first I thought, okay, but can we drop the black? Because I'm creating luxury
Luxury spaces.
spaces just like
Period.
anyone else. Exactly.
Exactly.
And I thought that at first and I did not. I didn't like it. I didn't like
Hmm.
it. Like I
Yeah.
thought, just drop the black.
Yeah.
I'm creating a luxury space like any other designer, black, white, whatever. I'm creating a luxury space like anyone else out there. And for the first couple years, that's what I thought.
Hmm.
And then, and I felt that way. And I would say to, the Globe and Mail and whoever else, can we not say black? Can we not say black design? I'm like, I'm a luxury interior
Designer.
designer,
Yeah. I
right?
totally get that. Yeah.
And then, but then, the conversation happened at IDS a couple years ago
Hmm.
where the designer said, Michael, but if there isn't any other Michael London, then who is it? So
Yeah.
that's when I thought, okay, wait a second, wait a second. I can't be like that. I should embrace the fact that I am black
Yeah.
and I am creating beautiful spaces that are luxurious like anyone else out there. And
Exactly.
there are others like me that just haven't been exposed. You
Hmm.
know, I started off as an 18-year-old student wearing baggy jeans and sweat tops and big letters across the front of my, like FUBU and all that
I
sort
would
of stuff.
call Kanai, and yeah, that's been ages, but yeah,
And going to a high-end luxury firm dressed like that as a student to what I'm doing to what I'm wearing now.
yeah,
Um, I've seen a lot. And when I look at all that, oh, I am a black man who designs beautiful interiors with meticulous detail. And I am proud of that. And the clients that I have don't see color. They just see, wow, this is a
yeah.
beautiful space. I've hired a designer who's very creative, and that's what I've hired, and that's what I want.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I said I wanted to ask that. And I've heard, you talk about certain things or topics that have been brought up, and I wanted to make sure we highlight that as far as expansion.
Mhm.
Talking about growing 2025 AI, how are you guys using it? Are you embracing it, or have you seen it change what your work or the process in which you go about design? Like, how are you guys embracing? Because there's so many different ways of expansion, right? There's,
Yeah.
digital marketing and social media. There's expanding in other markets. There's expanding in types of products and offerings. And then there's expanding technology.
Mhm.
And I don't know if people necessarily always think first with design or whatever that, oh, it's technological first, but obviously it's impacting everything. So impacting every industry. So how are you guys embracing the future when it comes to tech?
It's funny because I was afraid of AI.
Okay.
I was afraid of AI to start, and I thought, how is this going to one mess up the whole industry, and
Yeah.
one, anybody can basically ask AI to design their house for them. That's what I thought at
Yeah.
first.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
But then, how do you execute it? So there's no way of executing what AI produces. I mean, I say this from someone who's just learning AI.
Hmm.
Someone could say, oh no, there's a way to do it. But I look at it as in my office, there's a way that we use where we'll start using AI to say produce quick renderings, you
Mm,
know,
okay.
to show an idea. But a lot of the stuff I see in AI, where there's all these curved walls and it's all this wavy stuff and all that, ask any junior designer how that's built. They wouldn't know. They don't have
Yeah.
a clue on how that's put together. So it
Yeah.
looks great in the space to have these renderings, but it's like, okay, well, tell me how that's built. How do you put that together?
Yeah.
Right? They don't know. It's those who have the experience will say, okay, yes, that could be done this way. You could use this material, whether it's plaster or whichever material. You can use this material and have that done. It'll be sculpted. It'll cost a lot of money, but it could be done. But someone coming out of school now and just pushes a button or talks into the computer, their laptop, and says, "This is what I want," and it comes up, and then you show that to a client. Now, how do you get from A to
How do
Z?
you execute it?
How do you execute that? Do you know the process? And that's my fear. When I was a junior, I was 4 years as a junior, 4 or 5 years as an intermediate, another 4 or 5 years as a senior designer, another 4 or 5 years as a design director. And I learned from others that you can't fit a 12-foot long sofa in an 8-foot high elevator.
Yeah.
But juniors make that mistake. They
That's
make
true.
that mistake and they don't realize I've designed this beautiful sofa, or maybe AI helped me design this beautiful sofa. Did AI ask you how high your elevator is to ensure that that sofa gets in that elevator? Probably not.
So
But
now, do you see yourself as the do you need to nurture the future, nurture that talent and understand so that you can blend into, or what where does it fall within your staff and your firm?
so I've fallen in love with Chat GBT.
Okay.
Like that is like my new girlfriend. It's just I could not believe that I wanted to write some policies and procedures, and I said chat, and my son said, okay, Dad, you gotta like use Chat GPT.
Yeah.
Okay, but what is And I asked I just downloaded the app and Googled and said, okay, um, policy procedures for a luxury interior design firm in Toronto, blah, 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 and put all this stuff in, just talk to it. And all of a sudden, this stuff came up.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, wait a second, I think you can buy this stuff online, but I just got it for free.
Yeah.
So So it gave me the base, and
Totally.
then I go through and I made modifications to it. So now I'm
Yeah.
thinking, okay, if I have a list of questions for an interview and I'm stumped, okay, let me ask my girlfriend, Chat
Yeah,
GPT.
right. I
You
was
know,
literally I was literally watching an interview today. Actually, it was I was at the gym and I was watching it wasn't an interview, it was a blog
yeah,
or a vlog, excuse me, a video blog. And the gentleman was saying, the real currency is time. Like
mm,
that is the actual currency.
right,
As an entrepreneur, as a professional, as a whatever, in 2025, the real currency is time.
yeah,
And so, similar to you, his way of implementing AI and technology was, hey, if it took me X amount of hours to do this before,
right,
and now I can do something like that in 5 minutes, in 10
yeah,
minutes when I learn how to do it. If I can know how to, because it's about the inputs, specifically with Chat
mhm,
GPT. If I learn to
mhm.
create these inputs, now what allows me to have 50% more time being creative, 50% more time excelling the business.
Right. But so the way I see that is, when it comes to like the procedures and all the sort of little technical things,
Yeah,
yes. But when it comes to actual design and how it all comes together, it saves me time right now, but
gotcha,
then I may be affected later on when I'm sitting down and explaining how this is going to be built to my juniors when I could be off doing something else that's more
gotcha.
appropriate for my time,
Yeah,
right? So that's where I mean, like, maybe great for, coming up with a sort of a concept for in the verbiage for marketing, things like that. That's how I'm using it now. But to say come up with a design, not
it's not there
really.
yet. Yeah,
Not for me, because it's
yeah,
just coming up with stuff that my team won't, anyone younger won't be able to sort of compute that to from A to Z. And then
gotcha,
I would have to jump in and say, well, this is how this is made, and then to realize that this is going to cost way too much money. Like, I can see it from the beginning that it's going to cost way too much money to do
yeah,
and tweak it this way, but they wouldn't know that. It's just like, wow,
gotcha.
this looks great, and I'm going to do this, and then later find out that it costs too much money, and then you're backtracking. So it could be quick now and efficient now, but then later on you realize, okay, wait a second, I'm either redesigning or I'm value engineering, as they put it.
Yeah. So essentially, what it says is know how to use it, know where to start, know where to stop when it comes to that, and maybe just for more procedural things as opposed to for everything.
Yeah,
What's next? What's next for you? A lot has gone on in 6 years already. And we
yeah,
just talked about, having the Fort Lauderdale project. We talked about the New York projects. Obviously, you're going to continue to do things in Toronto. Where is Michael London Design as you beautify, as you mentioned, the world? What's
yes.
Michael London Design in the next 3, 5 years? What's next?
3 to 5 years. We're just looking at more growth. One,
Okay.
two, getting into hospitality.
Okay.
I want to be able to brand an entire boutique hotel with
Love that.
Michael London. Because every project I get involved in, I look at every single detail. So whether it be signage, I design signage. When
Okay.
it when like because the thing is, I see a space. So once I see
Yeah.
the architecture, once I see the exterior of a building, then it's like, okay, thank you, architect. I see this, but maybe you want to make a tweak here and a tweak there, you know? And then from there, I see myself walking into the space. So
And
I already know where things are going to be laid out. I know I'm walking in. I have glass on these two sides. I have my desk here. There's my corridor leading to my elevators. Like, I'm just saying that. That's
yeah,
not a project. Like, I'm just seeing a space. But
got
then
you.
I apply details to that, and it just grows. So I see the signage. I even see someone standing at the desk. I could see them dressed like me, and I can see them wearing fedora.
Okay.
Maybe the branding for the whatever it is, hotel, whatever it is on the fedora, right?
Got you.
I see all of that. So that's where I see Michael London getting involved in exterior, in more interior design, signage, clothing, like that sort of thing.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Love it. I can't wait to hear when the fedoras come out.
Yeah.
Obviously, love what you do. Keep doing, keep, doing the Michael London, like Michael London experience, Michael London touch of what you do. And I
Yes,
can't wait to, have a front row seat and check you out in the next few years.
definitely, definitely. And when the hats come out, I'll send you one for
Yeah, I'll have
sure.
to give you my sizes,
See the
because
hat size, to see the hat size.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
get it, it might be it's a little hot in Arizona. I might need one that like a different type of fabric or some type of ventilation. But
Yeah,
but we'll figure it out.
for sure, for sure, for
All
sure.
right, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you, thank
All
you, thank you,
right.
everyone.